Meracus is a newer foot that has been on the market for a little bit now, and Allard is a company that has mainly been in the composite space and AFO brace type of space, and so they're starting to get into prosthetics a little bit more. But because of their composite background and what they've done with composites over the years, there are some cool features about this foot that I really like, from the shape to how it's constructed, even down to the foot shell.
I've been wearing Meracus for about 3 weeks now and have been able to get a good feel for it in all terrains. I've also worn it on hills and uneven inclines on stairs, obviously, in rocks up camping, and so I've been able to really get a good feel and understanding of it. Meracus obviously takes some inspiration from other high activity feet that have been on the market and are really popular. But there are some key differences in two different build heights. 133 millimeter build height, which relates to about 5 inches, yes, 5 inches, and 505 grams of weight, which correlates to about 1.1 pounds. So definitely a shorter foot for the type of foot that it is. And then the second version is a little bit larger, 144 millimeters, which is about 5 inches, a little over 5 inches. The last 133 is 5.2, 144 is 5.6. And then at 755 grams, it comes in again at just 1.6. So a little bit heavier, a little bit taller. But again, because this foot is really kind of designed to be that low profile, high activity foot, you don't need much more of a build height than that. Another really cool part about Meracus is that it has composite rivets that connect the keel plate to the rest of the carbon spring. And so instead of having any screws or hardware, again, that keeps weight down, but it also makes more for a solid connection down there at the bottom. I obviously walk on a bunch of different feet, and every now and again, depending on the foot, depending on the activity, sometimes I feel a little bit of vibration when I am just at like my toe off point, which is releasing my knee into swing and kind of getting that really good extension out of the foot. Sometimes I'll feel a little bit of chatter, I guess is the term that I would look for. And with this foot, I don't feel that at all. And I think that is attributed to the rivets in the bottom that are connecting all of the pieces together are composite. And so it's all just more of a single solid piece. What I would be interested in and am curious to know is, like, after a year of wearing this thing, are those composite rivets what wear down first? Are those the first things that kind of break down and then the foot just kind of falls apart because they're not holding it together? I don't know. It would be interesting to see over time. But I do think that is a major point for what makes this foot feel so smooth. Before we get into walking, I want to touch on the foot shell just a little bit, because this foot shell, it does have some unique differences. First off, kind of a pro or a con. For me, it's a pro. I think for a lot of people, it kind of is a con, and it's that the foot shell is really narrow. For me, I like that because I have a really narrow left foot, and so the foot shell fits into my shoes better, it matches my sound limb better, and looks just more symmetrical. But a lot of people don't have as narrow of a foot as I do, and so it's understandable that I could see how that could kind of be a drawback for some people. But one thing that is a pro, I think, for everyone in the foot shell is that it has textured grip on the bottom of it. So if you're a barefoot walker, or even if you just slide around in your shoes a lot, that grip should help give you a little bit more of, again, grip. That's what it's there for. And so walking around barefoot and things, it shouldn't be quite as slippery. And so that's a cool feature to see that it's being added in. So now that we've gone through some of the technical specs of Meracus, let's get into walking a little bit. I am wearing this today with my Quattro from Proteer, and I have also demoed it on the X3. I haven't worn it on any other knees, but for these two knees, it's functioned great, and I haven't really noticed any issues that correlate with the knee. The foot has functioned well with both of them. So let's get into some walking and look at more specifics on how this foot could be beneficial. A little bit of just basic walking here. Obviously this foot, again, because it is meant to be a high activity foot, it does give good toe energy return. So again, that's when I'm getting to this toe off point. I get here and then I want my knee to release in the swing. Then that is when that spring is expanding and giving you that energy to move forward. And so this foot still gives great energy return, but because you're not so tall, that spring is not quite such as long of a lever, it doesn't push you around as much. So when I'm standing using my flexion lock, I can stand here really comfortably. Whereas on some of the other feet, especially like the foot that I wear all the time, I get maybe a little bit more energy return, but when I'm standing here, sometimes I'm fighting that spring to keep it in control. Whereas this foot, I am very controlled and comfortable no matter what. I am not moving anywhere unless I want to. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with alignment, but the longer springs that you get on, the more that some of that stuff starts to happen. And so just feeling comfortable and not fighting this all the time when you're standing, again, I can be all over the place, and I am not fighting this in any direction, but I also am not losing a ton of that energy at the end on some other feet that would be comfortable like this. And so that's a real benefit for the carbon and fiberglass blend that is in there, and just the composite material that Allard is using. Barefoot walking, I don't walk barefoot really ever, just because I don't want to damage foot shells. I don't want to mess with my height too much. But if you can see my hole in my sock on this side, ignore it. My wife's going to be upset that I'm wearing these socks, but this sock. But you can see here, like, this carpet typically is very slick, especially on foot shells. It has a tendency to just kind of slide around. This thing is gripping really nice. And again, I'm not like a barefoot walking aficionado. This is not my forte. The Footshell rollover still feels smooth. You know, once you get out of that shoe, sometimes you end up getting a little bit more of a choppy type of alignment, and so it feels more segmented, where you get the heel strike, then the mid stance, and then the toe off rollover. But this, even walking on the Footshell again, still you feel a little bit of that transition from heel strike to midfoot. That kind of rocks kind of fast on just the Footshell, but other than that, it's really comfortable. And again, I am keeping control. Like, that was a little slip up from the knee, and typically the foot would almost like push out underneath me. The foot is still just staying nice and in control and doing what I need it to do for barefoot walking. Now we're over here on the stairs. We're gonna go through some of the stairs, you know, just stair descent, nothing crazy, just wanna kind of show it off. And also try to do a little bit of like uneven terrain on the stairs. I'm working to get an uneven terrain board made, and so that we'll have, you know, solid demos that will show exactly how feet move and everything else. But we'll try to replicate it on the stairs today because I'm not quite there yet. So because you're never really fighting this foot, you don't really have to do quite as much to pay attention to what it's doing, right? When I'm coming down and rolling over things, it's a really smooth rollover. And here you can see on stair descent, like I still have good control and can do all the things that I need to do. That foot, again, same as standing, is not throwing me around anywhere. But as soon as I want to step down on it, it does a nice, soft, comfortable heel strike, and I'm down. And then, because we're on the shallow stairs, we'll try to give this a go here of just, you can see how much movement this foot gets. It's like not quite as much as some other feet, right? This is like, pretend I'm walking on an uneven terrain, and you can see like that thing stays flat to the ground. Like, that's pretty awesome. But it's not as much as some other feet get, for sure. But again, like, this is as much movement side to side as you would get on any high activity foot. And even my knee doesn't want to do it, but the foot is still holding onto the ground. Because I really think that that's attributed to, again, the composite material that they're using, a higher quality composite, and even having fiberglass inlaid in there. But you could see how if I was outside walking on rocks or something, even doing something like that, look at how much that foot moves and moves with me, so that I can be comfortable and have it underneath me. A lot of feet would slide out right here. This foot is really good at just staying underneath you at all times, even in unsafe situations where you would never be in a situation where you're half foot on a stair, but maybe you're hiking or something and you end up in a situation like that. This foot will support you, which is nice to know. We'll do some of this uneven terrain and even stair descent barefoot, just because the Footshell is somewhat unique
and it'd be interesting to see how it functions on these stairs. So we've obviously got grip tape on these stairs too, so it's kind of double grippy. But I mean, again, the foot not sliding out, like that thing, I'm really fighting that hard to get it to slide. Whereas maybe over here, see, that's a little easier, but it's still like really hard for me to get it to slide if my weight is through it. It's almost impossible on the grip tape. So that's great traction out of the bottom of that texture. But again, you know, it kind of starts rolling you around just with the shape of the foot shell, but you can still see, let's see. There's a lot of movement out of that foot for sure. Again, ignore my holy sock.
So that's Meracus. With it being a lower profile, high activity foot, it really is like checking all of the boxes. I think that having some texture on the bottom of that foot shell, again, for me isn't a big deal, but I do know a lot of people that they love walking around on their foot shells. And so just having a little bit of that texture gives you a little bit more of that grip, a little bit more of that safety, a little bit more of that peace of mind. Again, it comes in 2 different build heights, and so it's really made to be a comfortable foot that supports you in all situations, but you still get that good energy, you still get that high activity type of environment when you're walking on it. And so it really does, like I was saying, check a lot of those boxes. Here's the Meracus display page on the website. Here's my email if you have any questions. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks.